So Big Tent Creative has spent $350,000 to promote TikTokVoters.com, which registers TikTok users in order to vote. That is an outside party effort that's set out to engage with prospective voters. And the campaign has been pretty successful, registering more than 21,000 people to vote, almost all of whom are under the age of 25. CEO of Big Tent Creative, Isiad Ferreras, joins us now to talk about this effort. Great to have you.
Happy to be on your show.
Absolutely. So just lay out what you're up to here.
Yeah, we're registering voters on TikTok. It's a really fun thing we're doing, which is essentially just we're funneling funds from various donors, creating different kinds of like contests and reaching out to people in different manners and making it so that young people, primarily young people of color, are getting paid to organize themselves and register and turn out their own communities. And I just reran the reports before the show, and we're at 23,891 people registered in the last 10 weeks.
That is phenomenal, especially because we know the numbers around young people and voting. I also feel like TikTok is kind of one of these platforms, and I speak for myself in this, that a lot of political actors haven't kind of wrapped their head around. But there's a lot of high political engagement going on that platform. Just speak to the opportunity that you saw there.
Yeah, so due to structural reasons in the way that any campaign works, you can only really use channels that have been proven to work in a previous election cycle, right? Those are the only things you can really create policies around and invest around using. And so what ends up happening in a pretty structural manner is every single news cycle, there's some sort of channel that people are using to communicate with each other, and and campaigns aren't using to organize on it. And it just so happens that in this cycle, that's Twitch and TikTok. So we've run experiments on both of those. And what we saw very early on was that there was so little organized effort on these channels that that with like relatively small amounts of investments, we were able to get a tremendous amount of lift.
Very interesting. And talk some about the unique landscape that we're all facing. I mean, I have people who are lifelong voters who are asking me basic questions about, okay, if I get the mail-in ballot, but then I show up to vote in person, how does that work? What do I need to do? What do I need to do filling out the mail-in ballot to make sure that it's counted? So I can't imagine how complicated that is to all navigate if you're a first-time voter. Lay on some of the ballot access issues and hurdles that are in people's way this time around in particular.
Oof, there's just so many of them, and it keeps changing any given week as well. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but we're actually plaintiffs in a lawsuit against Governor Abbott of Texas is one example where they changed the rules to make it so that you would only have one early ballot drop-off location. And so while we were in the middle of setting up here's how we explain to people in Texas how they drop off their ballot information pushes on TikTok, the law changed. So we partnered with Perkins Coie to do a lawsuit here to change these rules, because obviously if you only have one ballot location, like ballot place in a county in Texas, you've got some people in more rural counties needing to drive several hours to get to this place. And then you've got other folks who are in more populous counties, like say Harris County, that has over a million registered voters, that are going to have like several hour-long lines during COVID to go out and vote. And that's just an example of what's going on in one state. So every state has different rules and regulations. So what we're doing is we're trying to just make it as clear as possible, be as available as we can to answer questions, make videos about this. And that's where a medium like TikTok, where it's very easy for somebody who's politically engaged to make a video that explains something specific to their state, can be extremely powerful.
Yeah. And finally, Isiad, do you think there's anything we can extrapolate from the success of your program with regards to how enthusiastic young voters are this time around?
Yeah, I think I think in general, we can think of people as being enthusiastic. And I think that it's the same as any other population, where instead of looking at them as that population, you look at it as somebody who's been contacted that certain number of times, right? So comparing the voter participation rates of people who are not receiving mail, are not receiving direct communications to folks that have are literally getting calls from their Congress people inviting them to fundraisers. It just seems a little unfair. So what we're seeing is by just reaching out to folks, people do want to participate. I think that's one of the main things that we're seeing.
Very fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for your efforts on this and for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. We'll have more Rising for you after this.